Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Mobility Magic on a Monday. It's your first Good Life live session of the week with me, Simon Page. And this week we are working on a little bit of ankle work, a little bit of low back, and some neck work as well. A lot of requests for some work on the neck. So welcome if you're joining us for the first time, if you're joining us on the replay. Thank you for checking this out. This is Mobility Magic on Monday at 11:30 a.m. And just going to give it a minute to let a few people in, and then we'll get straight into the session. As I say, this week we're going to start off with a little bit of ankle, calf work, and then we're going to move into the low back, and then we're going to finish up with a little bit of neck work because I regularly get requested for that every week, and we don't quite get around to it all the time, so I promise I'd try and cover that too. Hello anyone that's joining us. If you are a regular, nice to see you. And yes, let's turn off the commentary, and if you have any feedback for us, you can either message me directly at Fascial Stretch Simon, or you can leave it on the video after we post it later. Alright, so lacrosse ball, foam roller. If you have a small towel as well this week, that can also be useful, because we're going to be using it for a little bit of traction on the neck. So start with the lacrosse ball or foam roller at the base of your big toe. I'm on my right foot. If you want to start off on your left, that's completely fine. Just remember the instruction went backwards, but still the same either side. We're just going to work on a little bit of a roll from our big toe, so the knuckle of our big toe, down towards our heel, just to kind of see what's going on. Anything funky? How does your foot feel? Probably about an 8 or out of 10 in terms of pressure. So you don't want too much pressure, but you just want enough that you get a feel in the foot. If you hear any cracks or pops or anything like that, fingers crossed, that's a good sign. And let's just roll through the foot. We're just going to move across the middle from front to back. We're just gently rolling. We're not aggressively rolling our foot, just gently. So front to back, just to see what's going on. Any clunks and clicks, completely fine. And let's settle in the middle below our middle toes. And all we're going to do is we're going to bring the toes up towards the ceiling, keeping a little bit of pressure in, and then we're squeezing them down towards the floor. So we're going to try and grip the end of the ball. We're going to turn our foot in and out. Toes go up, toes go down, toes go up, toes go down. Now, if you want to, and you remember how to do it, and I'll show you again in a sec, what you can do is you can use your feedback loop this week as a kind of a range of motion for your ankle. If you want to. If you don't want to, if you know that that's a restriction for you, you can get straight into it. Let's move on to our other foot, and we're going to start at the base of our big toe. We're just rolling from the toes towards the heel. Just making sure that we're not going too quick, because sometimes if you move quick, that can hide a few things. So you just want to take your time going from front to back. And now we're settling in the middle of the foot. So we're just below the middle toes, and we're just going to lift all the way up to the ceiling. And we're pulling, squeezing all the way down towards the floor. We're getting that kind of up, down, kind of extension, flexion of the toes, to try and see if we can get any restrictions kind of worked out. So we're just kind of putting pressure. Now let's move to the outside, moving from back to front. An 8 out of 10 on this one. And let's just kind of see where we're at. Now, we're going to work on toes as well. So what you can do is you can get your toe on the lacrosse ball, and we want to push down, actively push the lacrosse ball down. So from the side, if you see my toes on the ball, actively pushing down. You can do this with something that's a little bit raised. Probably doesn't work so well on the foam roller, but you can just want to find a raised surface for you to push down. And then as you push down, just lean your weight forward over the toe. So again, toes on the ball, I'm bringing my weight over the toe, I'm increasing the range of the ankle because I'm moving through that stretch in the big toe, and therefore probably increasing the range just a little bit. let's move on to the other side. So pinning that ball down with my big toe. Just there, that's good. Okay, excellent. Now, toes pinned, putting my weight into that foot, gaining a little bit of range. Not as much actually with the other foot, and that's okay. But now we're just bringing our weight across the toe a little bit, just add a bit of a stretch and come back. And you can do that one as many times as you want. So if you need to pause the video now, if you're watching a replay, to do the same thing a few times, you know, anything up to 5 or 6 reps is good. Okay. So for those of you who are interested and remember what we did when we've done this in the session before, for the check-in for the wall range of motion check for the ankle, you want to take a couple of inches away from the wall, and you want to see if you can get your knee to touch the wall. If it doesn't, just move it in slightly, and just see whereabouts your knee touches without your ankle lifting off the floor. Now, I'm about a couple of inches, maybe 2.5, 3 inches there. I'll do the other side, same thing, see what the range of motion is. Probably a little bit less. So I know that afterwards I'm going to use a feedback loop. I'm going to use this test to see if my range of motion increased. I could actually probably do it before the cross ball as well. So, done our wall check. We're now going to move on to a more challenging release for the tibialis anterior, which is an area which a lot of people don't work, but can be useful to release if it's something that feels tight. So the best way to find out is to come down to the floor, and we're going to see by just feeling around on the front of our shin. So meaty part of the shin on the outside, and we're just going to kind of feel what's going on there, if it feels tender or tight. And if it does, this can be a really great one. There's 2 ways of doing it. We can apply direct pressure by pushing the lacrosse ball into the area that feels tight and lifting our toes towards us. That's one way. The other way, if you're really brave, is to lay on top of the ball with your shin. I would probably suggest, if you were just doing this for the first time, you may want to do it this way, putting a little bit of light pressure into the lacrosse ball and then bringing your toes towards you, just to kind of ease that out. So, easy way to do it, find the meat of the muscle on the lateral side of your shin, and we're going to put the lacrosse ball, let's say about half the way down. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure into that area, okay? Probably like a 5 or 6 out of 10. And we're just going to bring our toes towards. If you don't feel anything, you can move down just a little bit more. And you want to make sure you're bringing your toe as far as you can towards you, just to see if you can increase that range. So essentially 2 things are going to happen. We're going to try and get that surface to slide just a little bit. We're also trying to get any adhesion out of the muscle. Again, quite challenging. It takes a lot of pressure to make any change in the muscle, but you might notice a real difference in the range of motion afterwards. So as you go through each pull towards your so toes to nose, let's say, you're going to move the ball around to find the next area. So if you can't see it, you just tuned in, I'm doing a tibialis anterior kind of release that can also be done if you want to put your weight into it. You can also do this with other implements, but I find that the cross ball is the most versatile because it's going to be in your bag. You can also do some windscreen wipers, so we go side to side with the toes. Again, pulling as far towards you as you can. And then let's move the ball somewhere else. So making sure that you stay on that line of tissue, that tibialis anterior, and let's pull up. And then just give it a break for a second. Just see if that range of motion, that ability to bring that toe towards your nose is increased. That's the important bit. Has that increased? Because dorsiflexion of the ankle is a really good predictor of future knee pain, knee problems. Want to get a full range of motion at the ankle as you can, because we know that if we have a really good foundation, we're less likely to get knee pain, hip pain, lower back pain as well, and also power leaking when we do strength movements. So a good way of doing it, I say, is releasing and strengthening the tibialis anterior. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute, but first let's do another round on this side. We're going to do 2 on both. So pinning that tissue down, you can pick any point between the ankle and the top where it touches the knee, but obviously you'll run out of space as the muscle kind of thins towards the ankle. So just pick a point, pin that ball with a little bit of pressure, and then just work that toe towards you and away. Kind of a little bit of slow pumping action. If you find that it's starting to ease off too much and it's not releasing as much, you can add a little bit more pressure. But again, go to your tolerance, about a 6 or a 7 out of 10. As you increase, start off at about 5. Okay, so let's switch sides. I'll talk you through it again. I'll guide you on this side. Pick a point about 2/3 of the way up, about halfway maybe, and we're just going to pin that ball into that tibialis, the meat of that tibialis anterior. So pulling the toe to the nose, making sure that you are getting to the top of the range as far as you can, and once you get to the top, you'll probably find that that anterior tibialis starts to activate and like fully, and then you want to apply a little bit more pressure. So now we're at the top, we're going to windscreen wipe it in and out. We're going to move to a new area. You should experiment with what works for you. You'll definitely feel this one. And the returns on this one are pretty good because it's somewhere that most people don't really work. So again, making sure that we're pulling all the way up, toes to nose, all the way down as well, all the way up. Just kind of a pumping action, but not moving too fast. 5 or 6 to begin with, 6 or a 7 as you move through. Take a break for a second, making sure that we're trying to get that big toe towards our knee or our nose. We're just trying to pull up, okay? It may get very tired very quickly as you kind of get a little bit more range and you're able to start to work and strengthen that area. Again, really useful if you're someone who has problems with dorsiflexion of the ankle, Achilles tendinopathy, that sort of thing, because if we can improve the strength this side, it takes a lot of strain off the other side of our leg. Let's do this again. Let's put that ball into a new area. We can slide around just to kind of find what works, either up or down. You can even use this kind of tack and pull technique if you want, just to kind of move that tissue around a little bit. It improves kind of that sliding surface. Otherwise, let's push down on that tibialis anterior. We're going to pull back as hard as we can this time, like a 7 out of 10. We're going to push in, a little bit more pressure, pull that toe to your nose. Let's go side to side as well. Windscreen wiper that big toe, and then let's ease off. So, other side of this, we want to make sure that we're activating those tibialis anterior. So we can either work on putting our our legs straight out in front and pulling those toes towards us and away, and sometimes, let's say a resistance band, pulling away from you, and then you pulling that resistance band towards you with the toe works really well to strengthen, or some sort of weight on the end also works as well. So other side of this, if you are someone who is the reverse and you actually have, and it's rare, strong tibialis anteriors, you can also work on releasing the calf as well, which again, I would say most times I've dealt with this with clients, it's probably the other way around, weak tibialis anteriors, but not so much tight calf, but we can work on that too if you feel like there's still residual tension there. So 2 ways I like to do this. The first one is if you have a kettlebell, that works really great, and you can just use the top of the kettlebell to passively sink your weight into, and then again do that tibialis anterior pull, so that dorsiflexion, toes to nose, that works really great. The other way you can do it is you can literally just let your weight sink into the kettlebell, because passively that weight will start to push tissue aside, and then you'll get a slight release. So even now I'm feeling a little bit of tension kind of build, and over time it'll just kind of relax. So it can take anywhere between a couple of minutes to slightly longer, 2 to 5 minutes, let's say. The other way, the way that we're going to do it, because I feel like most people have this, is we're going to use the good old trusty foam roller. So let's grab a foam roller. Same rule, same idea. We're just going to turn slightly, so we're probably like 12:30 on the clock. So our toe is pointing slightly out, so turn slightly out, external rotation, and we're just going to lift our hips slightly and rest about 2/3 of the way down our calf, digging our calf into the foam roller, and then start to point your toe a little bit. And you should feel about a 7 or 8 out of 10 in terms of discomfort in this position. So if you're someone with opportunities here, you're definitely going to feel a lot of tension on the outside of that calf, and this is somewhere that you probably need to work. Now, most people would aggressively kind of roll at this stage, but all I want you to do is just hang out in that kind of uncomfortable range and see if your calf starts to release after about a minute or two. And mine started to do it. So as it starts to ease off, see what happened there? My calf just suddenly moved a little bit. It's starting to release. So you want to move into a new area, just see if it starts to release, just like it did then. Okay? Let's do the other side. Again, slight turn out. Now we're about 11:30 on the clock. So with this side of the clock, moving kind of external rotation on this one, about 2/3 of the way up the calf, we're going to sink our weight into it. Whichever side feels tighter, left or right, this is where you might feel the most tension. And I'm applying the same rule. I'm letting my weight sink into the foam roller, pulling that toe towards my nose to start off with, and then once I'm in position, I'm going to try and let that toe point a little bit, and I'm going to let that calf sink into the foam roller. So one side might be slightly quicker than the other, you might get a quicker release on one side than the other. Either way, make sure that you feel that relaxation of the calf, and no pain faces. Try and take nice deep breaths as you do this, and then once it starts to release, that's when you can add in that small roll from front to back. Okay? Awesome. So, moving on, that is our tibialis anterior and calf release. You can then add in a little bit more isometric work, pulling towards your nose, holding that position, trying to get the front to work and the back to release. Let's move into a little bit of lower back work now. Okay? So, about halfway through, let's do the same thing we did last week, I think the week before, and let's just release our psoas through a little bit of breathing. So, big area here, we're going to take our foam roller. You can also use kettlebell, small ball. We're going to lay across the foam roller. So, I'm going to point this foam roller in, and slight angle, and I want to get this foam roller kind of towards my belly button. So in this area, we're just getting a catch-all for that psoas, that iliacus kind of area, so it can even lay across that top of that iliac there, and we're trying to get some passive relaxation just by breathing into it and letting our body weight drop onto the foam roller. So take a nice deep breath in. Sink down, and as I breathe out, I'm just letting my body sink around that foam roller. Just imagine that you're just trying to get your body to relax around it and absorb it into your body. So take a nice deep breath in, just relaxing around that foam roller. Take a deep breath in, relax, relax, relax. Good. So once you're in this position, you can then lift your the front of your body up. So you've got two options. You can kind of do a sphinx position, so you're stretching this way. Probably not advised if you have any low back pathologies which are caused by extension. So I would just stay in this nice neutral position if that's the case. But if you don't have any issues there, obviously go into that stretch. So we're, again, sphinx position, lifting up, trying to create distance from our head and our belly button, and then we can come back down. The second way of doing it is to lift our leg up this way. Again, keeping our belly button sunk into the foam roller. I can bring my leg across and back and up, or you can do a combination of two, which is actually a lot more difficult, but it can be done. Sink into that foam roller, lifting my leg up. Pushing up the front. Let's change sides. So, again, with this one, we're just trying to let the weight passively sink into the foam roller to increase that extension. Could also be useful if you're someone that's kind of locked in tight, has any low back tension built around sitting at a desk, let's say. So let's put that foam roller, again, in line with the belly button, top of the iliac. We're going to get that psoas and iliacus to kind of open up, just sinking into the foam roller. Sink, sink, sink. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Deep breath. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Let it sink. Okay, so now let's do one of our two options. So you can even do a combination of both if you're feeling brave, but lifting up slightly. We can even turn away, so you can even turn your body away. So top left corner, go top right corner if you want to. A little bit of extension if you have any low back issues, so obviously avoid this one. Or you can lift your leg up. This one I don't have as much range, so clearly I'm a little bit tight in that area. Or you can do a combination of both, pushing up into that kind of sphinx position and then extending that leg away. So, other option you can do is you want to stretch away to create distance. You can actually bring that arm up as well. I did forget about that one. So, just hang out there as long as you need to. You can also be really good if you have an exercise ball to lay on, because that kind of breathing into that diaphragm and that expanding that tissue and kind of pumping the organs, it's really healthy to kind of get some more mobility. So it also helps with any lymph flow around that area. Have a couple of pumps in the inguinal kind of area. So working in that area works great. Let's do something to help that low back now. So we kind of release that area, we want to get some activation. So we're going to do what's called a bird dog. If you've done yoga before or you've worked with a trainer, you probably know this one. We're going to come into our all-four position. So our quadruped position. We're going to do our angry cat, happy cat position. We're going to cut it in half so we're nice and neutral. Now, important to make sure that you're balanced between all 4 points. We're going to extend this foot back and out. So let me come forward just a little bit more. Extend this foot back and out. Make sure that you pay attention to how high this leg is. We want to make sure that it's directly out behind us and we're nice and flat, packing that chin, tucking that head, and making sure that we're feeling a glute activation on that left side and a little bit of core work going on. Now, if you have any issues with your wrist, you can do knuckles as well, or you can put something underneath it just to slightly raise it up. That can also work. But keys to this one, make sure you have a neutral back, make sure this leg is nice and straight. Don't want to have any bent legs or scorpion legs. Let's start again, let's talk through it. So quadruped position, so knees and hands. You want to make sure that you are extending away and that you have a nice neutral back. Let's pack that chin, so tuck it. Head position neutral, extend away. Now I've got that nice neutral leg. I'm getting a glute squeeze on. And if you're feeling brave, you can also lift that hand up. It's a little bit more of a challenge, but this one's really good just to tie that core control into a little bit of glute activation as well. Especially good if you're having any issues with that low back, just to build up that connection between a neutral back and a good rib cage position and core control with that rib cage kind of locking down and that psoas kind of loosened up. So let's do it one more time, each side. You can do this as many times as you need. It's a really great exercise if you're someone who's stuck at a desk. So extending this leg away, toes pointing down, nice neutral position. If you want to lift this arm up as well, if you're feeling like you have good balance, this is also good for shoulder range of motion, shoulder health. But if not, let's stay in this position. Squeeze your glute, make sure you point your toe down to the floor, and you're keeping that leg nice and long, and you feel that glute activity on that side. Same thing other side. Head to neutral, pack that chin, toe comes down to the floor, and we're squeezing that glute. Excellent. Let's come up, stand up, and let's grab. So the thing, yes, our lacrosse ball one more time. So we're gonna, last section we do a little bit quicker, but I want to feel free to come back to the video afterwards and rewatch this because this can be really great. So first thing you're gonna do is lacrosse ball on the wall. I'm going to come down a little bit so you can see. So unfortunately the ball is white, so you may not be able to see it against the wall, unlike you could on the floor. But we're going to place the ball against the wall on our neck. You may need to come down a little bit so you can apply some pressure back into the wall. But I'm going to sit it so that I can apply some direct pressure. Now this also works really well on the floor. You can also do it in a foam roller. But the idea is you're going to pack your chin, so give yourself a nice double chin. You're bringing your weight back into the wall, and I'm capturing the tissue at the bottom of my skull, so the occipital area around that occipital bone. And we're just getting our chin packed because you can get some tension that builds all the way up through that posterior chain, and this can help release those tension headaches. So, packing that chin, a little bit of tension, pressure is about 6 out of 10. You want to make sure that it's not affecting anywhere else in your neck. And then we're just going to roll across to the other side. Do the same thing. It's good to release this area, making sure that you have pressure back. Because if you need to hold that ball, that's okay too. Hold that position. Packing that chin. Give yourself a double chin, as I said. Breathing and breathing. Eyes come across. Turn away. And now we're into a little bit more of an neck stretch. That was a fantastic, quick and easy one to do if you get tension headaches. That's also going to help release that tension across the back before we do the next exercise. So, gonna grab yourself a towel. Actually, let me see if I've got another colour. Hold on. This one should do. So, green towel. You can probably see that a little bit better. We're gonna grab the corners. We're gonna bring it behind us. We're actually gonna traction. Hopefully my headphones stay on for this, but we're gonna traction up first. So traction up towards the ceiling. So pack that chin. We're going to start to lift the towel upwards as I keep my chin packed. I'm just getting a little bit of traction in that same area we just worked that ball. So traction up, 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 up. Packing that chin. Might feel it a little bit in the C-spine, maybe a little bit into the T-spine. So you might feel a little bit of tension start to release in that T-spine as you take the weight of that head off and we pack that chin. We're going to pull forward and up. So essentially we're trying to traction up towards this way. Ideally, in an ideal world, we'd be going up more, create length, we're actually going forward slightly, which is why it's important to pack your chin. So we're just going to pull our shoulders back. So we're pulling our shoulders back whilst tractioning upwards, keeping our chin packed. Okay, so lateral traction and flexion now. So again, if you have any neck issues, any issues that require you to avoid neck stretch and so on, this could be one that you just leave off the stretch list. Okay, so we're going to now pull down slightly with this hand. So this is my left hand, could be your right hand if you're watching the other way around. And we're going to lift up slightly with this hand. And you might even start to feel yourself open up. So again, apply the traction, keep that chin packed. Great way of mobilizing that T-spine, C-spine. I'm pulling forward slightly with my bottom hand. I'm tractioning up with my back hand, packing my chin. And do the same thing again, so lateral flexion, a little bit of traction. And there's a little bit of rotation here as well. So I'm lifting up, packing my chin, rotation. Now the other thing you can do is you can actually isometrically contract your neck muscles while you move around your lower body. So this is kind of a little bit step above, but tractioning up, I can then move my hips from side to side. Because I'm packing my chin, I'm tractioning the neck upwards just a little bit. I can create some space in my spine and get a little bit of fluid moving, get that spine to kind of float a little bit. I can even move other areas of my body too, so I can move my scapula. So we got excellent, so we're doing great on time, so we've got a couple more that we can do, so we can actually rotate the head this time. So covering one of your ears, kind of rotate up. You're not trying to strangle yourself, we're trying to get some lateral flexion as we lift up and pull this one down. Same thing the other side. Packing that chin, turning to the side, and relax. So, last thing you want to do with the neck, it's always important now that you've got this nice loosey-goosey neck, because you've got that nice open feeling, you want to do some isometrics. So isometrics is going to just be a static hold the opposite side to the one you worked, just to build up that proprioceptive kind of range of the muscle, kind of build that back up. But we're going to start with some lateral flexion. So hand to the side of your head, we're going to go this way. I'm going to meet the resistance with my hand, and I'm going to push my head inside. I'm going to have a battle between the two. So I'm going to push, 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 and relax. I'm going to go the other side. Push, 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 and relax. Do the same thing again. Notice my head's not really moving, but that's because I'm having a battle between my hand and my head. Isometric. My chin is still packed as well. That's like that too. And relax. And let's do that one more time this side. Excellent. And we're going to do some lateral stuff as well, some lateral flexion. Is what we did first. We're going to do some rotation, so you can even rotate into that isometric. So trying to turn your head this time. And the same thing the other side. Try and turn your head, meet the resistance with your hand, and battle between the two. Should start to loosen up your shoulders and your T-spine too. Often, once we start to build strength in that range, all the musculature which is trying to hold that head in position starts to relax, and our T-spine will actually start to loosen up too, because it's not having to battle to keep that levator scap pulling the head into position. And let's just do one to the front, and one to behind, pulling that chin in, give yourself a double chin, and then to the front, and then one to the behind, and you're all done. Hopefully that helped. Hopefully that last kind of little bit traction network was effective for some of you. Maybe not all, but hopefully you like that one. If you have any feedback, comments, insults, anything like that, I'd love to hear from you. You can message me directly at Fascial Stretch Simon. That's Simon Page, Fascial Stretch Simon. It's in the title there. Or alternatively, you can leave the feedback on the video we'll post afterwards that you can review. Unfortunately, all the comments you kind of leave as we go live tend to get lost. But I want to thank you very, very much for tuning into Mobility Magic on a Monday with me, Simon Page, Fascial Stretch Simon on Instagram. And hopefully I get some feedback from you guys for next week, and we'll shape your session around what you would like us to cover. And I want to thank each of you individually for tuning in. I want to thank you for tuning in on the replay. I love to teach this class. I think I get a lot out of it, and I think you guys do too. So thank you so much. I will see you next week on IG Live. Thanks so much. See you soon.